just touches me, you know. And I'm going to make you listen to a grandson's story. This wasn't in my notes, but as I'm listening to that and how everything is holy, my daughter sent me a picture, and they were headed to the neighbors to have dinner, and Rowan and his dad are heading out the door, and right behind them is Jacob. The problem is, who's two, you know, he's wearing nothing but one shoe. And Caitlin said, Jacob, you need to put more on before you can go. So he went to the door and put on his other shoe. And he said, ready. And you know, you can tell, you know, that boy and those boys are holy to me. They bring reverence into my life. So another story about little boys that are not mine. I read last week, and it sparked this whole thought about what we're going to talk about today. It seems there was two little boys that were about 8 and 10. They were brothers, and they were always getting into mischief. Whenever something went wrong in the whole town, everybody was like, it's those boys again. Well, the parents were at a loss. They'd tried every kind of discipline they could think of with no luck. So they heard about a minister in town who was doing things with young children that were effective to help this kind of situation. So they made an appointment, and they took these little ones in. And the minister said, well, I just want to take you in one at a time. So I took the 8-year-old in, and very sternly he said, where is God? And the little kid's just shaking in his boots and has no answer. And so he got more stern, and he said, where is God? And the little boy still says nothing. So he got closer to him and raised his voice and shook his finger in his face and said, where is God? And with that, the little boy jumped out of his chair, ran out of the office, and ran home and hid in the closet. His brother followed him, went into the closet, and said, what's wrong? What happened in there? And he said, we're in big trouble. He said, God is missing, and they're trying to pin it on us. The story made me laugh just like you, and it also started a deeper thought process in my head with, does life ever confound you? Do you ever think, is God missing? The times we're living in, the challenges that we have in our own lives can sometimes put us in that place where we just wonder. Gratefully, we have that story and some others like it to lighten us and to open our hearts. And that's what I want to do today. Although the talk that I have to offer you today is very somber, I want you to remember the joy and the words of the song, Everything is Holy. When we're in the depths of our questioning, feeling lost, sometimes alone, and wondering, is God missing? Where is God in this? It can take time. It can take time and being in the quiet to shed light on that for us. As I set out to explore the challenges that this brings up, I thought back on two precious souls in my life. One was a 32-year-old man who felt that he's lost everything. He had no job, no money. He'd lost the woman he loved. He sat alone in an empty house, and he must have felt that he had no options. His life wasn't worth continuing. The other was a young, beautiful, talented, creative, intelligent woman who seems to have succeeded in every way. She had a beautiful home, a loving relationship, family, pets. She was about to launch a career that she had succeeded in every way to prepare for. Yet she couldn't find love enough inside herself to continue. As I contemplate those two, I wonder what was missing that brought them to such a place of desperation. I know that no matter what a person's life looks like on the outside, on the inside, desperation can be real. And ultimately, I wondered if there was something to do to prevent another person from ever feeling so lost and alone. Additionally, when we look at the world today, we may find ourselves wondering, is God missing? Is God missing in the opioid crisis? Is God missing in the migrant children? Is God missing in the environmental crisis? And what about the growing number of homeless folks that have no place to sleep or no food to eat? The basics of life. Is God missing? Questions like this are never very easily answered, and I don't pretend to have the answers. But my contemplations have brought me to a place that gives me some hope, and that's what I want to share with you today. On a personal basis, when I find that I feel inept in some way, lacking the heart to move forward, underneath is a disconnection with the divine within. I can feel that I'm out of alignment with my higher self. It's a denial of my spiritual heritage. I remember once seeing a movie. I can't remember the title. It was a long time ago, and I'm pretty sure it was like a TV movie. And it was sort of a fantasy story where this family, this mother and children, her husband had died. And after he's passed, they go to an island where he has left them some property. So they go there to check that out. It turns out that while they were there, they learned that he had a very different background than the one he had told them of. The people that he came from were outcasts. They were gypsies, and they had some magical powers. He himself, as a child, demonstrated the ability to heal and also to fly. But because of something that happened in his childhood, he felt that he had failed. And so he left that place. He left his background. He denied his gifts and his ancestry. Watching this, I couldn't help but think, do we do the same thing? Whether it's because of the messages of those around us, or some deep feeling of failure that we internalize, or we somehow come to feel that we're just not enough. We walk away from our true heritage, our true power as emanations of light and love. Is that bothering? Is that distracting? Okay, So we walk away from our true heritage, and we set out trying to live our life without that gift that we are born with. And we've forgotten. We've forgotten that when we need it, there's a whole family of beings on this plane and on other planes that are there to help us, that are there to answer our call, that lift us up and remind us of our true heritage. When we close down our heart, it's usually because we're afraid. We're afraid of failure. We're afraid of rejection. We're afraid of disappointment. Maybe we're even afraid of our true power. But is God missing? My answer is a definite no. When you lose some precious item, it doesn't just dissolve and disappear, even though it seems like it has. You just have to look in the right place. If you examine your life, you find it lacking, you're weighing with the wrong scale. So often we look outside of ourselves to feel something that seems to be lacking. We look at human relationships. We look for that one that, as the old movie said, was Jerry Maguire, someone who completes me. The true love story goes much deeper and requires much more. This is where the love story begins. Hafiz wrote in the 14th century, God said, I am made whole by your life. Each soul completes me. Isn't that an interesting turn on that thought? We complete God. Without our heart, without our special gift, the fullness of God, the fullness of love in this world isn't present. All of your spiritual work is a quest for that true identity. We're each born into an individual expression, perfect, whole, enough. And our quest is to walk, as we walk, this path of life is to be that ray of light which we are. Only that and nothing more. When you surrender into complete acceptance of your life exactly as it is in this moment, you open the door to the fullness of the eternal lover. Once again, you align yourself with that highest energy. When you reach out to give, even when you aren't sure you have anything to give, you open the door to the eternal lover. When you say, thank you for my life, no matter what that life looks like in this moment, you open the door to the eternal lover. I'm not saying anything to you that I haven't tried and tested through my own experience. Take even one of those suggestions and practice it for a week, and I promise you, the eternal lover will respond. When you do this, you move into that place of alignment with the energy that you might have thought was missing. It's with you immediately. I do warn you, though, that you cannot expect this power to respond to lukewarm advances. Just as in our human relationships, I know, you must lean your whole heart into the desire for a personal and intimate experience of the oneness with the divine. I'm sure you've all heard this old question. If God is missing, who moved? We've been given free will. When we look around and see only pain, hurt, and lack in our world, we have the power and the responsibility to turn our vision within and unite with that pure essence of love, of God. Then we can turn our energies outward and use that love everywhere. Even if you don't become an activist, the energy that you radiate is very important to the completion of love in this world. Look at the sky. Take a walk in nature. Make it your practice to keep looking until you see only the good in everyone, in every situation. When we commit our consciousness to this, we become what Reverend Temple Hayes called enlightened rebels. She says the enlightened rebel welcomes listening and acting on changes that need to take place while allowing the same space for others. Barbara Brown Taylor shared at a national preaching conference about a time in her life when she was struggling. She was struggling with, what am I called to do? She said she simply could not figure it out. Does God want her to be a writer? Did God want her to be a priest? Did God want her to teach? She simply did not know. And in her frustration and exasperation one night, she fell to her knees and said, "Okay, God, you need to level with me." She said it was at the point that she felt a very powerful response. God said, "Do what pleases you." She said it struck her as very strange that God's call could actually be to do the thing that touched the place of her greatest joy, that pleased her most. I have a dear friend. She's forever calling me to say, "Get on your knees and pray to St. Anthony. I've lost it's her glasses or her keys or..." I'm telling you, it's almost every week. And I always pray for her. But yet I also ask her to say, look, where were you when you were using those glasses? Right? Often it is just a matter of bringing mindfulness to the situation. So is God missing? Where were you when you last encountered him? Sometimes we wander off in consciousness and then we look around and we can't figure out where the heck we are. So this month I invite you to begin a practice of looking within. Looking into your heart to find your place, to find that one true spark of love that you are. Make a commitment. Make a commitment to looking first to your own pure, loving guide. This is not an egotistical thing. This is a spirit thing. This is looking within to see the gift that you are, that you've been given, and not one person is without it. And then affirm the light and the truth. Affirming opens the door. And hold that until you wake up to that one true source that is your peace of God to contribute to this world. Thank you. Move into a time of meditation. I just want to share with you this morning this has been in my life for a long time, and I hope that some of you are familiar with it. This is an affirmation, an affirmative prayer from Louise Hay. So closing your eyes now and take that deep breath. Bring yourself fully into your heart. Expand that place. Look around. There's only light there. Sitting in that place, in the quiet, I invite you to listen to this prayer. Deep at the center of my being, there is an infinite well of love. I now allow this love to flow to the surface. It fills my heart, my body, my mind, my consciousness, my very being. and radiates out from me in all directions and returns to me multiplied. The more love I use and give, the more I have to give. The supply is endless. The use of love makes me feel good. It's an expression of my inner joy. I love myself. Therefore, I take loving care of my body. I lovingly feed it nourishing foods and beverages. I lovingly groom it and dress it, and my body lovingly responds to me with vibrant health and energy. I love myself. Therefore, I provide for myself a comfortable home, one that fills all my needs and is a pleasure to be in. I fill the rooms with the vibration of love, so that all who enter, myself included, will feel this love and be nourished by it. I love myself. Therefore, I work at a job that I truly enjoy doing, one that uses my creative talents and abilities, working with and for people that I love and that love me, and earning a good income. I love myself, therefore I behave and think in a loving way to all people. For I know that that which I give out returns to me multiplied. I only attract loving people in my world, for they are a mirror of what I am. I love myself, therefore I forgive and totally release the past and all past experiences, and I am free. I love myself, therefore I love totally the now, experiencing each moment as good and knowing that my future is bright and joyous. For I am a beloved child of the universe, and the universe lovingly takes care of me now and forevermore. And so it is. Sit in that energy right now. Breathe it in to fill your entire being. Then you cannot help but answer the question, is God missing? Not if I look for love within myself and commit to sharing it in my every act, in my every word. So it is. Amen.